DSA, and my name is Kendi, and I am your host for today. On today's episode, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic. Yeah, but before we go there, I would like to say thank you to everyone who subscribes to our YouTube channels. Thank you for following. Thank you for liking our videos. Thank you for commenting. And thank you for sharing. That's very important. Thank you so much for that. On today's episode, we'll be looking at how Dr. Stephen Akintayo averted over 20 billion naira loss in housing development scheme. That's so funny. But I don't want to laugh because even losing 1 billion naira, I don't want to imagine the trauma that comes with it. But yeah, thank God he was able to avert that. Right now, I want to ask him, sir, what project were you even trying to work on then before you were able to realize that no, if I do this, if I don't do this, I'll lose this kind of money. So what project was that?
Well, we had this project, 1,000 housing units,
Okay.
and we wanted to build about 1,000 housing units. At that time, was a little over 20 billion that we had estimated to spend, and we started the initial marketing efforts, but the dollar, the devaluation of the naira became an issue. And initially, it looked as if people were really getting excited to do the business. And I remember having to shut it down. And it was painful, even for the team. But I remember one of the units we started building, the contractors kept coming for variation. Almost every month is coming for a variation. Every milestone rather is coming for new variation. I said to myself, if we continue at this level, right? By the time we're completing this project, we probably will have spent double of what we had initially agreed. Now, the crisis is that you've already told the customer then 17 million naira was one bedroom.
Wow.
28 million naira was two bedroom.
Yeah. What year was that?
2021.
No.
And so we had launched, we pushed out. We had a few set of subscribers by 11 or so. And then I just stopped it and I said, you know what, let's focus on the land business. We've mastered that. We have thousands of customers on that. We're one of the best at it. We're the one that democratized the concept of land banking. But looking back today, I'm so grateful we made that decision, because when I look at some of our colleagues who rush into the housing sector, yes, they made more money. 20 billion naira in income, your balance sheet is a lot of money. But I'm happy we did it because we still have peace of mind.
Yeah.
We probably will have lost the reputation of our company if we had done that. Rather, what I did was to open our office in Dubai and push all that energy into our housing project that we're helping people to buy property in Dubai. And the first year we did over $10 million. And then we continued that route. And I'm looking back, yes, we made the right move.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And what were the key factors that threatened that particular project?
The key factor was the devaluation of the naira. The fact that today you buy cement at 2,800, tomorrow you buy at 4,000. Iron rod, because sometimes people tell me is everything imported, but iron rod is imported. Cement, the manufacturer Dangote will tell you that the chemicals they use are imported. All the blinds, the fittings, sanitary pad, your toiletries, and everything is imported. The TV is imported. The AC is imported. The furnitures, most of them are imported. So many of us don't understand that the majority of what we use with housing, are actually imported. And so it affects the price. And for me, what I've noticed with the consumer behavior of Africa, once you tell an African to pay more money on anything, you are now a scammer.
Yeah, a scammer.
And Nigerian law is blur between civil issues and criminal issues. So typically, I buy land from you, I buy this, it's civil. But before you know it, they will say you threaten their life, breach of peace, and you are being accused, and it becomes a criminal issue. And same thing with EFCC. We should have seen it clearly as a civil issue. They will tell you, no, we sense fraud here. It's our job. Now, they will not be able to prove any fraud, but when your officials, your lawyer keep going every day to their offices, that's too much distraction. Of course, many of your clients also will go on social media and start doing all manner of videos to blackmail you, right? If you take them to court for cyberbullying, now they say, oh, he's locking up his clients. So for me, it wasn't that we will have lost 20 billion, because definitely when we look at our other colleagues who did that, they didn't just lose the money they put in. In other words, if they estimated they needed to spend 20 billion, they didn't even need 40 billion to complete those houses. Many of them needed over 50 billion at the end of the day. Right? And I'm saying everybody in the housing sector, let nobody deceive you, anybody. And I'm close to a lot in the sector. I will compare notes. Everybody went through that. And what will have lost for me more will have been our integrity, because it's a different thing if you are trying to persuade 11 customers to say, this is what we're facing, prices have gone up, but to persuade 1,000 customers.
1,000. What do you want to start from? All right, that's amazing. Okay, so how were you able to identify the risk and the challenges that were associated with the project? Because you stopped this since 2021.
Yeah.
That means you've seen ahead.
Yeah.
This is 2023.
Yeah.
2024. Things are much more expensive now.
Yeah.
So how were you able to identify all those things?
Well, number one was when the variation, and I tell people, always do a better test, right? Always test what you're trying to do. So for me, it was the case of the first set of contractors we deploy were coming back at every milestone, asking for variation of over between 20 to 35%. And if you are sensitive about the Nigerian economy, you know that when dollar goes up, it doesn't come down. Yeah, absolutely. Number two was, I am very politically aware. And I am aware that Buhari was, try to use a good word, a modest word. But Buhari, at best, is the most incompetent president we can ever have when it comes to the economy. I was too sure of that. And I've been sure of that since. So for me, I knew that it wasn't going to get better. And some of the moves he kept making, some felt maybe second tenure was going to get better. Some felt maybe at some point we even hand over to Professor Shubaju, who seemingly looked like he had a better understanding of the economy. But all that didn't happen. So I knew that, look, this economy ain't going to get better until a new government comes to play. And it's just wisdom to cut our losses and move on. But to continue to try to think that we're going to, one way or the other, have houses become cheaper and we could achieve what we plan to do, I knew that it was not going to happen. So I would say it's the better testing with the contractors and the variation they kept bringing, studying the economy and realizing that with the current government in power, there was, no guarantee that something tangible was going to be done. And looking back, I was right. Painfully. I wish I wasn't.
Okay, so what actions or decisions did you take to mitigate the risk? Because investors are involved now. And you stopping their projects is something they can go crazy about.
Oh, we didn't stop the project. We stopped the marketing.
Okay, good.
Right? So the good news is that we have not gotten too many clients. And this is an issue till today. A lot of people, when we started selling land, the name was GTEX Homes. It was, I think last year we then separated GTEX Land, GTEX Homes, GVest, and all of those things. So what you see today is people still calling GTEX Homes and having the expectation that all our estate is supposed to be fully developed with houses everywhere. And they don't know that we only have 11 customers that bought into our estate. Of course, we sell houses in Dubai, in Nigeria, but those are more of in developed location, maybe a 5 unit here. We just, but the ones in major estates where we have 50 acre, we have 200 acre, we have 100 acre, people are expecting that all those estates will have been fully built, and the assumption is that we probably have thousands of customers. Again, because a lot of our competitors ran into that problem. So in our case, they are wondering like, okay, you've not fully developed your estate. You are everywhere. Most likely you two have collected money from 1,000 customers, but they don't know that we only have 11. I stopped it at that 11 customers. And we're able to then go through it with them to say, hey, some got their money. Before last year, we did over 200 million naira in refund. Yes. In fact, we started the year with 57 million naira refund in January. That was the first one we started paying. So we refunded some. Some agreed to pay more money.
Some would definitely understand.
Yes. Some agreed, but the joy was that it was just 11. If it was, like I said, 1,000, because it was project 1,000, and we stopped it at 2021. 2023 last year, we felt okay. New government will come in. Things might be better. We tried to kickstart it again, but we started facing the same issue. We stopped marketing the aggressive marketing. So right now we're still selling houses, but it's at a gradual tempo of the contract is very clear. This is what we're trying to do. These are the consequences if you are willing to pay variation, and we're selling in dollar. So if dollar goes up, you have to pay more money, and the contracts are clear. So whoever is willing. So, but with those terms, people are more reluctant, so we're not selling too much, which is fine. We move at our pace. But what we then did, which was smart, was to now diversify internationally. Dubai, UK, and US. We have 20 units in Valdosta we're selling. We have in Alabama we're selling. And then we have the new massive project we're doing, Katy, which will be over 200,000. Why are we doing that? In the US economy is more stable. You have funding, up to 70%, because we're a foreign company. We still have to do counterpart of 30, but you have funding. You also have almost ready-made customers, because you have brokerage like Keller Williams, who we're going to be working with, who can just put your house in there. And because we're dealing with building new houses is always sought after in the US, because most of the houses are older. They're just doing fix and flip. But more importantly, we're strategic with the Katy project, because there's currently a high interest rate. So most developers have stopped developing. And yes, they've stopped developing with a high interest rate. It's already between 9 to 11% in America at the moment. And the advantage for us is that we are going into the market during this period. Guess what will happen? 2 years from now, the interest rate will have come down, right? And then the developer will be back trying to build. But guess what? Our own property will now be in the market. There will be huge demand for housing, particularly new houses, because most developers stopped building last year, this year, and most likely next year as well, because it's after a new government comes in, hopefully things then begin to settle down in America. So we will now be chunking out at least first 50 units of our single family will be out. We'll be able to sell at a premium price. The other ones will also be under construction. So we'll be able to make a higher margin. The rule in investment is that, when they zig, you zag, right? When people are scared of building, you start building. When everybody wants to build, you stop building, right? So you must go. And the same thing in investment. When everybody wants to invest, be cautious, right? When everybody is cautious of investment, you go ahead and invest. And it's been our strategy. Yes, and it has always worked. And so for us is that the US project will soon release liquidity for us in the next 2 years. I will now come back to Nigeria and start heavy, construction, golf courses, houses, and all of that. And we believe at that point, it's more like we're borrowing from our US company, dollars to bring to Nigeria and to develop our Nigerian project. And by that time, the economy hopefully will have been stable, because Like I had argued during the election, the three candidates, whether Atiku, whether Tinubu, whether Peter Obi, were more experienced when it comes to economy than a Buhari, who is just totally incompetent. I mean, that's putting it mild.
I must acknowledge that was a very, very smart move. You
Mm.
moving to US, UK, and Dubai.
Yeah.
That's very good. Also, yes, I'd like to know during this process or during this trials, how did your team contribute to averting this loss?
Well, I mean, I give it to our QS. Our quantity surveyor. He was very on top of things and constantly kept giving us feedback on the increase in prices. And we have a great, great team. We had a CPO at some point. We brought him from Dubai, who had over 20 something years experience in construction, has built even over 50 story. And his analysis, and he had grip on prices too. So all of these professionals were able to also help because they understood the risk involved, they understood the business, and they were able to advise. And for me, the disadvantage was that people then expected us to build more houses.
Yes.
And it looks as if we've done business. So you're almost feeling like, are these people failing?
Yeah.
And they didn't know we're even doing better. In fact, way better. Of course, profit is another thing. And I keep telling people over time, volume of transaction is not the same thing as profit. And some companies like ours, because we're still growing, and so most things still keep going back into the business. You're just still building your foundation. So pulling profit is not something that easy. And sometimes you don't even know your real cost. I'll give you an example. When it comes to land now, you sell a land and you are happy that, okay, I've sold 100 plots. What we now are realizing is that in 2-3 years, between 10 to 20% of those people will ask for their money back. So imagine you've declared, let's assume, a 10% profit. The entire thing is wiped out in 2 to 3 years because some of these people are asking for their money back, and many will take you to court, many will take you to police, many will not want to pay administrative charges, right? Many will want to blackmail you on social media. Ẹgbà mi o, wọ́n ti gbowó mi o, olè ni wọ́n o. And the normal emotional, sentimental that most people just put into it. And unfortunately, again, Nigeria is a place where people, we're just sometimes, we have an hypocritical approach to life and business. I was on China's television some weeks ago, and they were asking me about a company that went viral where a customer was called them out on social media, on TV stuff, and it went viral. And they expected me to castigate the company. I just say, yeah, don't mind them. Those are how they do. We are different. Now, we have never had such a crisis, but I needed to be fair. I remember a lot of people reach out to me and say, thank you for doing that, but most people won't. I said, look, this thing is a general issue. The difference with us was that, like in the case of the houses, we foresaw the issue that was coming on. We diversify internationally ahead and mellow down on the Nigerian one. In the case of land, we're very strategic with our approach. We send your document to you anywhere in the world. We do live coverage. We do live streaming of everything we're doing. So you cannot tell me you are not aware, or they did not. Even if you tell us we did not allocate to you, you can even cut the video where your name was mentioned. And we can show evidence of the DHL package we sent to your address. So there's enough evidence in our case to be able to disprove. And of course, we try to work with our team. We do 24/7 customer service where they keep calling the customers. And, it has averted that kind of crisis. But you cannot, admit that it's a liquidity issue, both on the company side and the client side. Some clients have committed to 40 million. They only pay 15 million. They will start saying, I want my money back, or allocate land to me if you don't even have land. I can't allocate because it's 40 million you said you were paying and you've not finished paying. It's a difference if you write me and say, okay, pay me to the tune of 15 million that you paid. Different story. And
Hmm. I'm learning. I'm getting value. All right, thank you so much for that.
Mm.
So, with your, let's talk about your clients that invested in that particular project. How did you ensure effective communication with
Well, so doing 247 CRM was a tool that
them?
helped us as a company. We did
Mm,
247 CRM. So there's a good number of our client diaspora. So 2 a.m., 3 a.m., people are calling.
mm,
Management, and shout out to all our customer fulfillment team, our administrative team. Good job they do. They are constantly, and our legal team as well. But sometimes you have situation where a client, has taken you to court or is doing one thing, and the legal team say, okay, let's settle out of court. There's no point. So Law has sent one of our law firm, fantastic team. So I want to give it to them because they've managed the issues in a very, very good way. And of course, we too, being that we're a company of integrity and genuinely want to give value, we're here to add value. I mean, look at some of our land
mm,
that we're going for as low as when we started marketing them, as low as $500, and today they are $30,000
mm,
in the space of 3 to 4 years. So for GTEX is also that we have demonstrated that we know how to unlock value when it comes to land banking. We know how to unlock value even when it comes to houses, because as those who bought houses from us in Dubai, the rental income has gone crazy, the capital appreciation has gone crazy, for the properties they bought through us. Same thing in the UK, same thing in the US, same thing with the few ones we've been able to deliver in Nigeria. In fact, we have a place in Shangotedo, we're selling 5 units. I think two units is left. While we're even marketing it, the value around that area had gone up. We're selling for 65 million outright and 70 million if you're paying installment. As of today, now it's already gone up to 95 million. The
mm.
cost now. So if you were just the one that bought from us just a few weeks
Mm-hmm,
ago,
mm-hmm.
the value is
Has gone
already
up.
gone up. And of course, the valuation of naira is also helping that, because naturally the prices of things have to go up to match the inflation and the devaluation.
Wow. Hmm. All right, sir. So, what role did planning and foresight play in your approach to managing projects and risk?
Well, if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail, like that
Mm,
quote goes. And in business, planning is very critical.
very
I think
important.
is just, you can't joke with planning.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to have a good team that you can plan with. You must be a leader with foresight. But beyond planning is also pursuit. If you need to call someone, call. If you need to get contractors to move to site, let them move to site. If you need to mobilize, mobilize. Of course, we have a situation where it's difficult because you have cash flow. Remember, some of these customers who are paying for land or for house are paying installment, and many will even default. They'll tell you they had crises, they have issues. I've seen situations whereby some clients will be honest with you and say, I'm going through a divorce, I'm even homeless right now. I need my money back
Mm.
so that I can take care of this. Some other clients will rather not go that route. They just come and start shouting, you people are scammers, you are this, you are that. So life has taught me that just have good conscience. If one person will say a bad thing about you, make sure you
Mm-hmm.
have 10 that will say good things
Yeah.
about you. Right? It shouldn't be that 10 are saying bad things about you and you cannot even produce one that will
Mm.
say good things. And for us, that's the advantage GTS has had. For every bad news, you have several testimonies, even on YouTube, of people say, I bought land, I never knew them, I never saw them. I came back, they gave me my property. You have, even in Dubai, people who did over $1 million with us, we never met, and they got their keys. It was the day they were getting their keys we met for the first time. Of course, things
That's
are not
nice.
always perfect. There are always challenges. Not everybody will be satisfied. There are even things that happen beyond your control. But we've done everything with clear conscience and integrity. And for me, that's very important.
All right. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that, sir.
you're welcome.
So, what are still your greatest lessons you've learned from this experience, and that you would actually apply to future projects and initiatives?
Well, number one is generally in business, nothing is guaranteed.
Okay.
There are risk. Everything is a risk, and communicate such to your clients. Number two is human beings are really, really complex, and you need to make allowances for the fact that you could be doing business legitimately and with integrity, and people will still come out for you, sometimes intentionally, sometimes they're just after whatever their own interest, and they're willing to say and do anything. It's almost a case of survival. Number three will be they need to be flexible, because anything can happen in the course of doing business. So be flexible to adapt, to adjust. We're in a VUCA world, and in this VUCA world, you have to you have to be very dynamic and flexible. So those things I've learned in the course of this, but more importantly, learn to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. In other words, you can be in the same real estate industry but still diversify. You could diversify across region, across locations. And for me, that is important. But lastly, bring a unique offer to the table. One of the reasons why I love our clients still insisted, despite they will pay more and get the houses out of those few clients. Because about three requested for refund, in nine agreed to stay. But it was because it was green and smart. The location was unique. It was Ibejuleki, and the value of that. In fact, guess what? The land value had catched up with the entire thing they paid. Right? So now over 50 to 60 million naira per plot in that same estate. Many of them paid the same. Even when we asked them to pay more, it was like the same amount they're having to pay that it will have cost to even buy the land alone. So make sure you're offering unique value. Make sure you're constantly unlocking value. Make sure that people, no matter what, when it's all said, can say there's value in this company, there's value in your offer. And to young entrepreneurs out there, always ask yourself, I'm going to real estate or I'm going to any business, what makes me different? What is my unique proposition? How can I be different from anybody else in the sector? And when you have such a unique offer, then you are really in business.
And thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I also understand that real estate is time, and most young entrepreneurs right out there, they are into real estate as well, and most of them don't have patience to wait. So what is your advice to them? Is it like, please keep going on? What is your motivation? Like, what are you going to tell them to hold on to when it comes to real estate?
Well, I think that's why they call it real estate. It's only estate that is real. It's only asset class that is real. So it's real. And that's why the word real starts it. So for young people, I know many of us would rather want to buy a car, buy designers, but wealth is very important and it's never going to stop. In fact, I think that the highest form of manipulation that will happen as the world goes on is that more people are going to be encouraged not to take wealth seriously, and they will now be at the mercy of institutions, of systems that will be able to easily manipulate them. But if you're really serious about having a life, that's what we call financial freedom. If you're really interested in real and true freedom, financial freedom is critical. Of course, there's emotional, spiritual freedom, but the financial one is very critical. But sometimes you cannot even pursue your spiritual and emotional freedom if you don't have enough money, right? Because now you're a servant to trying to just pay the bills and to just, get by, and you don't even have a life. So young people must prioritize real estate early, start early, start small, start anywhere. Me, if I were to want to start from Lekki or VI, I won't be here, right? But willingness to start from Ikorodu, start from Aton, right? Today now, we can afford the VI. I mean, we're here in Ikoyi, so and today we're doing US, we're doing Dubai. But life is a phase, man. I says, live your size per time. Start somewhere, start at a level, start where you are, right? Start small. and don't give up. And if you don't even have anything, then be a salesperson, market and get commission, and use the commission. Don't eat the commission, put it back into the business. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. So we've really learned a lot from this, and I hope they have also learned as well. Please, if you've learned anything at all, please drop in the comment section, and yes, we're going to interact with you as well. All right, thank you so much
Thank you for
once
having me.
again.
We love
We
you.
love you.
Thank you. Bye bye.